Would you like to rise to the flag of the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Monica, can you do roll call, or should we wait till Krista comes back? Or?
I can do it.
Good, thank you.
Margot Brickner,
Here.
Jim Farda,
Here.
Brian Devitt,
Here.
Luca Williams, Davy Cook,
Here.
we have a forum.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've got the February 21st, 2024 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the February 21st meeting minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence, Monica?
Nothing at this time.
All right, that gets us to old business. The first case is Gary Lindley, case UB 190033. The address is 688 West, 600 North Hobart. Zoning is RR, rural residential. The motion is a motion to deny. Petitioner no longer requires a use variance for operation of a carpet cleaning business. Do we have a motion to deny? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay. Motion to adopt, deny, approved. The next case is UV 2023-45, continued from the April 17th meeting. Gerald Sowell. The request is continue the operation of a well drilling business with outside storage.
There, long time no see. Yeah.
Well, probably we can start with you telling us what you've done since you were here last time. We've given you 60 days to get everything cleaned up and give us a plan and everything else. Can you tell us what you've done between then and now?
We got all the cars out of there, spread some gravel, parked equipment over on the gravel and stuff. And, I got my equipment there. So you have a list of equipment that I have.
Okay. So you've got all the cars out of there?
Yeah.
What about all the other stuff that isn't for the well drilling?
The rest is the drilling stuff, and I got plows for my trucks. You know, use that.
Okay, I don't have that list in front of me, but out of the list that you had given us, have you submitted a new list of what you, yeah, okay.
No, I did not submit any list. They said I had.
Did you bring it with you?
No, I didn't. They said they sent me an email, and I didn't get no emails.
And you didn't call to see where it was or anything?
No, I'm not a computer guy, so using my daughter.
I know, well, last time you just gave us a handwritten,
Right,
and
right.
that's sufficient. We could have used that, but we need to know what you needed to have. I mean, if you were to give us a plan and a list at this meeting.
The list was what I used, that's what I used.
And what's on that list is the only thing that's left on there. All of your, everything else is removed.
I got a trailer that's got some stuff on it, but that's it. Everything else is what I use in the business.
You have, how many trucks do you need for your well drilling business? How many trucks are you using?
Well, I got 4 pickup trucks.
You've got 13 trucks in your driveway. 13.
The trucks that I have there is for my rigs and that, and I explained last time I was here that I'm trading trucks on to newer trucks from my older stuff, for the old trucks. I haven't got to them yet because we've been busy.
So,
We're working on it.
but you're repairing somebody's trucks for them, right?
No, my trucks. Those are all my trucks.
You own all those pickup trucks that are in the driveway?
Yes, they're all in my name.
There's 4 of them, and then the rest of them, it looks like they're well drilling equipment.
Right, all the well drilling equipment, yeah, all the pickup trucks are in my name, they're all my trucks. And I use them for the well business too. If say my service truck went down, it's a 1-ton dually, the transmission went out of it. So I had to switch to another truck to pull the other truck, to pull my equipment, you see. So
Out of the 37 trucks that you had, or cars that you had, how many do you have left? You were storing at your neighbor's.
there's just a few left. There's, most of them are gone.
How many?
I can't answer that. I don't know. He's right here.
You're supposed to supply us with that information so we can,
We gave you 60 days, Daryl, to get this all put together and bring it to us. We've been messing with this for many, many months. When you drive in your driveway, I will give you a compliment. When you pull in your driveway to the left where you put that cover over, and the way you've got your trucks in there, it looks nice. If that was all you had on the property, I'd say you did an excellent job and move on. But then you look to the right, and it doesn't look like you've done anything. And now you don't even have your list, you don't have your plan, you don't have anything that we'd ask you to have for this meeting. Do we have other questions or comments from the board? Did you have anything you want to say first of all, and then we'll go to questions and comments from the board? Okay. Jim?
I didn't have a chance to go by there. I don't know what to say. I know all the cars were supposed to be gone.
They're gone.
All of the cars are gone?
Yeah, that's part of it.
So the only thing that's left there is just well drilling,
Drilling equipment.
business associated
Right.
equipment. Some trailers, 1-ton dualies,
Yeah.
excavators, a few, I've got.
Yeah. I spread stone over on that one section for I could park everything on stone. And then we're gonna start working on the trucks too, to trade everything over.
That's what we were looking for, right?
What? I'm
I
sorry.
think that's what we were looking for, right? Have all the cars, wheel strip cars gone?
yeah, the car's gone. I didn't see them.
Well, car's another junk that he wasn't using for the well drilling business.
Yeah, he's got a lot of equipment. A lot more than it looks like he
Sounds like
needs.
everything that's left is for the business.
Everything to the right, when you pull in your driveway, everything to the right is for your well
Yes.
drilling business.
Yes. Pull up the driveway, everything on the right where the canopy's at, that's all. There's-
No, that's on to the left, the canopy's to the left, I'm talking about to the
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry, the left. Yeah, that's a trailer, covered trailer there, and there was 4 pickup trucks there. And then there's some other equipment that,
And some tires and some poles and some other things that you can't tell.
tires and poles.
Brian, you have any questions or comments?
Marv, can I ask a question to the board?
Sure.
Marv, do you feel that everything there was reasonably related to his business? In your opinion?
There are four pickup trucks that are not related to the business. The other 8, 9 trucks that you have, they all look like they're related to the business. It's a lot of trucks, you
Yeah.
know, and it's a mess. It's a huge mess. But I do believe that those trucks are part of this business. I'd be willing to approve this for maybe a year, to give you well drilling license for 1 year and see how things pan out. Because if you get back to this junkyard business that you've been running, you won't have your variance anymore. And I know we need well drillers because Porter County is short, which we've mentioned several times in this meeting, and that's one of the reasons we're keeping this going instead of just denying your variance right now and shutting your business down.
To the right, there looks like there's a big bust or something large like that. What is that? How do you use that in the well drilling?
No, that's my motor home. That's a motor home, not bus, it's a motor home.
I'd be fine doing this for a year.
Can I expand on?
Yeah.
So I would just highly recommend that it doesn't get more eyesore-ish, for lack of a better word. Just know that we're gonna remember that we gave you like 6 chances to do stuff and you've done not what we've asked.
in 10 years.
But one day, like, we've given you way more chances than we had to. So, just don't squander that, because we'll all be still here in a year. Okay?
I move to approve case UV 2023-45 for a period of 1 year with the stipulation that the property in question is devoid of any junkyard, accumulation of any more vehicles, and at the end of 1 year, if you come back here for a meeting, and we will decide at that time whether to extend the variance depending on what your property looks like.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Jim, we have a motion and a second.
This is just a this is not a public hearing, so it's just roll call. Marvin Brickner,
Yes.
Jim Coretta,
Yes. Close.
Brian Davis,
Yes.
Doug Cook,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
See you in a year with a clean yard.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next is new business, so I'll read the rules of conduct for a public hearing. At a public hearing before the board, the petitioner or proponent shall first present the facts and arguments in support of the case. Those who oppose the petitioner shall follow. The petitioner shall have rebuttal time at the conclusion of those opposing the petition. Those opposed shall then be allowed a total maximum of 10 minutes to rebut any new statements made by the petitioner in this rebuttal. It should be within the discretion of the board to impose any time limitations on either the petitioner or respondent, and to limit public comment to those determined by state statute to the interested parties. Written remonstrances shall be accepted by the board, but need not be read into the board's record. This then concludes the public hearing. To maintain orderly procedure, each side shall proceed without interruption by others. All materials presented by the petitioner and/or remonstrators or supporters to the petition, including photographs, shall become property of the board and part of the record. Okay, I'll just remind you, like I said, we don't have microphones, so you'll need to speak loud when you do come up to speak, and we'll go ahead and get started. First case is UV 2024-36. Applicant is Dan Mars. Location is 319 West State Road 8 in Hebron. The zoning is A1, and the request is seeking to continue the use variance allowing the operation of a furniture repair and refinishing business. Christie, do you have anything for staff first, or?
We haven't had any complaints.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Need to have a seat at the table here, give us your name and address, and tell us what you've been doing since you were here last.
Dan Mars, that's Mars Furniture Service, 319 West State Road 8 in Hebron. And nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed?
No.
Okay. Brian, any questions or comments?
No.
Wait a minute, I forgot. The public hearing, is there anybody, nobody signed up, is there anybody in the audience that did not sign that wishes to speak for or against this? Brian, nothing. Mark, do you have any comments, questions?
No, I think the place looks great. You know, I went out and looked at it, and I think you're doing a really good job, so I have no
Yes,
problem
close the
with
public
it.
hearing.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Public hearing's closed. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry. Jim?
No comment.
Okay.
I move to approve case UV 2024-36 for a period of 5 years.
I second that.
Same stipulation.
Same stipulations as the original motion?
Same stipulations.
Does the second concur?
Yes.
for case UB-2024-36, Margaret Brickner, yes. Jim Florida, yes. Brian Jamet, yes. Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 4-0. You've been approved for 5 years. We'll take those green cards over.
What about me?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, our next case is UB 2024-37, Gary of Enterprises, care of William Firmgren. Location is 177 South, 500 West. Zoning is R1. The request is seeking to continue the use variance permitting the operation of a construction business and allowing outside storage. Christie, does staff have anything?
We haven't had any complaints.
Good evening, for the record, Bill Fernman, 570 Bell Park Road, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385. As your president indicated, this is a renewal request for the use variance for this property. Nothing has changed out there. There's no expansion of the business. We were last here in 2019, and a 5-year extension of the variances granted at that time, and we're simply here seeking the same this evening.
Right, nobody signed up to speak for or against. Anyone in the audience that didn't sign up that wishes to speak on this? Okay, public hearing is closed. Jim?
Nothing.
Mark?
I got a couple of things. The fuel tank that is fairly new, it was installed by the garage with a number of plastic drums that look like they have fuel in them. The fuel tank, storage tank, has no splash shield underneath or catch basin for any leaks. It's not protected in any way, and it's right at the front of the garage where they back in and out all the time. I think that should be addressed, that you should get a splash shield underneath to keep any leakage from going into the ground. Also, there are a lot of damaged tires, big stacks of them along the building. I think should be removed, could be removed to make the place look a lot nicer. A lot of wood pallets that I know that they're valuable, so I think you could get rid of those pretty easily too. Otherwise, I think the place looks really nice. For a big, huge operation like he has in a residential area, I think he's done a good job with that. In fact, I saw all this stuff down here at Morgan and Lincoln Way, all these construction trailers sitting down there, so he's got a job in Valpo for sure.
Okay.
Brian?
No questions.
Okay. Motions?
I move to approve case UB 2024-37. I think we've been doing that for 5 years with all the same stipulations in place and with the new additional stipulations that I just made about cleaning up the tires and getting the fuel tank
Understood.
protected.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
You guys can do that, you're willing?
Pardon me?
You're willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll visit with my client to see what we can put there to address the fuel tank and the splashing, with getting those tires out of there. I saw those today as well, and then wood pallets, to the extent we can get rid of those, relocate them on the site and remove as many as we can, we'll take care of that.
Voting for case UB-2024-37, Jim Florida, yes. Marvin Brickner, yes. Ryan Jamet, yes. Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Take care, Bill.
Next is case UB 2024-19, Martina Brown. Location is 388 West, 100 North, Valpo. Zoning is RR. The request is to allow an existing apartment to be used as a rental unit located in the garage. Christie, anything from staff?
No.
Okay.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Martina, live at 388 West, 100 North Valparaiso, and I am requesting a use variance for an apartment that is inside the garage.
And we have one person that signed up, Terry Bonich. Can you come forward, please, with your name and address?
Terry Bonich, 425 West Sandhurst Drive. I'm here on behalf of Arbor Lakes Estates Homeowners Association president. Much of our development is directly across from Ms. Brown's place. We've got a couple questions for him.
Direct all your questions to the board, and then at the end, she'll have a chance to answer everybody's questions.
Say it again.
Direct all your comments and questions to the board, and then when everybody's had a chance, she'll answer everybody's questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Is this an existing apartment that's already in the building? How many bedrooms does it have? Does it meet code for occupation? Is the intent to rent it on a lease basis, a long-term lease, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? Or is the intent to rent it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Is there adequate parking? And that'll be it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Is anybody else that signed in? Is there anybody that wishes to speak on this case? Okay, would you like to address his concerns?
Yes. Oh, his first question I wrote down yes, but I forgot what the question was.
Is it existing?
Oh, yes, it is existing. It was there when I purchased the place 3 years ago. It is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath home with a kitchen and a living room. It would be more of a long-term, 6 months, year. Adequate parking. I do have a fairly big parking space where they would be able to park their vehicle. And as far as code, I'm not sure. There are I don't want to say fire alarm, smoke detectors. There are smoke detectors in there, and I do have fire extinguishers.
And for the record, her well and her septic is big enough, we addressed it at DRC, so that, and she's on 10 acres.
Did you hear what she said? She has been before DRC, well, septic's good, she's on 10 acres.
Oh, I've been there.
All right,
and-
okay.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with this apartment. It's-
Let me see if there's anybody else.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Did anybody else in the audience have anything that didn't sign in? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. Now we'll go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
The apartment is very small. It's for at least 1 or 2 people, maybe. Certainly no family. And normally, I'm very much against rental property in rural residential areas. But this to me was done so well, you know, and you've done all your homework on fire protection and, of course, heating and cooling, and it's a beautiful little apartment and a very large piece of property. So in this case, I don't have anything against this at all. I think it's a good application.
Thank you.
Brian?
That's my biggest issue with that last question with code. How do we know it's the code?
And we can have her, I mean, our building commissioner go out and take a look at it.
We know if it was inspected prior to her buying it?
Probably not, because it probably didn't have a permit when it was built, because it wouldn't have been allowed to be built originally.
So do we make a requirement to
We should do a motion contingent on.
contingent on?
Is that correct, Scott, or would you?
I'm just thinking of what the on part is.
This is very innocuous, it's such a neat little place. I don't know if I'm gonna.
How about we make it contingent upon petitioner seeking and getting a temporary occupancy permit that say it's good for 3 years? That would get a level of inspection that I think the board is looking for. We would do that under, in those rare occasions we have mobile homes or things like that to make sure things are copacetic. So I think we could make it contingent upon the issuance of a temporary occupancy permit. I'm not saying the full occupancy permit because this isn't, we're used to administrating that from a new single-family home as being done, and that's a different standard than I think the temporary occupancy permit would allow us to take a look at.
Are you all right with that? Do you understand what he was saying, and are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I understand, but I just want to make sure. So who do I get so am I supposed to call the building commissioner to come out and inspect it?
Come see us,
Okay,
and we'll explain it to you up in our office.
okay,
So we'll have you fill out a temporary permit for living quarters, and we'll have it, when you do that, it'll get generated in the system, and the building commissioner will go in the system and look at it and go out to your place and investigate it, look it over, and then he'll issue a CO.
okay.
And he'll know why he's being sent. It's in the same department. So this
Yes.
board requested,
Okay.
and that way there's some context to the request before the inspector is there.
All right, can I stop in tomorrow, is that okay? Okay.
Jim, do you have any comments or questions?
I was just curious, are all the utilities on a separate service, or are they coming from?
It is. Mhm.
This is a separate building completely from the main residence, right?
It is, yes.
Is it your intent to stay in the main residence while it gets rented?
Yes, yes.
And you're
So
not
I-
moving off the property at all?
Pardon me?
You're not moving off the property at all?
No, I'm not. I will be staying in the home, and somebody will be renting in the garage, in the apartment in the garage.
Any other questions or comments or a motion?
I make a motion to approve UB-2024-19.
Contingent on?
Contingent on the temporary occupancy permit being issued for 3 years. Does that cover it?
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second. Clear it. Clear it up. Again, Mark,
Yeah, let's do it.
you brought dinner, so you will be long meeting.
Voting for case UB-2024-19, Marvin Brickner, yes. Jim Clearda, yes. Debbie Cook, Brian Dammit, yes. Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next case is APL-2024-4, David and Jennifer Leeds, care of Adams Warden. The location is 1800 Indian Boundary Road, Chesterton. The zoning is R1. The request is appealing the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing officer to allow for a proposed 42 by 48 pole barn to vary from the following: to allow an increase in height from the maximum allowed of 20 feet to 24 feet 3 inches, to exceed the maximum floor area allowed by 490 square feet, to allow the pole barn to be placed in the front yard. Christie's gone. Anything from staff? Anything you want to say from staff, Christie?
No.
Okay.
All right, good evening, Attorney Adam Sworden, Sworden Law PC here on behalf of petitioners and property owners that are here with me tonight. I also have their builder, and I also have Matt Evans here with Remax Realty to kind of address some of the concerns that have been raised through the prior public hearing process in the Development Review Committee meeting. I had a PowerPoint, but obviously can't do that tonight because of the monitors being out, so I'm going to do this orally. I do have some images, though, and I know you guys have the record from the prior proceedings, so if there's something you want to see, I can at least turn this around and make it bigger. So this is a property, 1800 Indian Boundary Road. This is a property where 90% of essentially the lot is front yard. And this is an older home that's been there for some time, and it sits kind of between an existing subdivision to the southeast, some older property to the northeast, which has the lake on it where this road historically floods whenever there's been heavy rainstorms. And then they have a neighbor to the west. It's one of the remonstrators that's been in support of this because this, from what they're proposing here to put this accessory structure in the front yard, she's the only property owner that's going to have a view of this building. It's the only view through a front yard into their property. As part of their initial application, and the reason why it needs to go in the front yard is, one, the elevation at that part of the property is the highest point, and they have a swale between the location that they're proposing to put the building and their existing home. And since they purchased this property a few years ago, they have dealt with significant flooding issues in their home because they got a basement, which they've spent significant money remedying that and making improvements to the site to get the drainage around their house because it all comes from these neighboring properties. Again, I had an aerial here showing that other than the neighbor to the west that's in support of this, basically this location where they're proposing it, albeit it's in their front yard, it's in everybody else's rear yard. And the location is also adjacent to the property to the east that has the pond. They've got two accessory structures in the same corner. So basically we're proposing to put an accessory structure in an area where the other closest adjacent neighbor already has two existing accessory structures of similar size and characteristics. The other reason they didn't want to do it in the rear yard is if you have any of the information from the prior presentations, this is a heavily wooded site, both in the front yard and along the side yard and the rear yard. The front yard is where the drainage comes through down Indian Boundary, traveling east into that lake that has had significant flooding in the past. Since they've taken over ownership, they've cleaned up that entire front property. Cleared out that drainage. I've been out there personally. I know Dave Champion has been out there personally looking at this because one of the things when they were continued from the first public hearing is they wanted staff comments and engineering review on the drainage issues. And David Champion had come back, and I had the email in my presentation, but he identified that this location for this building here made sense because of the drainage improvements that they've done and how the topography lays with the property. We've also got, I have some neighbors here tonight who are probably going to speak in support of this, including neighbors further to the west that would testify that since they've taken ownership and cleaned this up, the flooding events that typically happen here have lessened. And as part of this, one of the comments that came out of the Development Review Commission meeting was that the county has an issue out here with all these property owners, their property included, because they don't have an easement to go in and get access to do maintenance for this drainage area that keeps flooding the county road. They are willing to dedicate whatever needs to happen to get that distance back to where the creek shed kind of flows through their property. And as part of this process and discussing with neighbors about getting this approval and having support, they've actually, and I've got the original letter here that I can give to you guys tonight, and there's a neighbor here that's further to the west. They're also willing now to come in and dedicate whatever the easement needs to be through their property so that going forward, we can start this process out along the street of dealing with this drainage issue because these folks are tired of having the road flood. But I think from their improvements that they've done, one, from a personal perspective, to protect their home, they've alleviated some of the drainage and flooding issues that happen along Indian Boundary. And I think that trying to put this in the rear yard, besides the drainage issue, they would have to raise the elevation. So all this water that they've now found a way to solve the drainage issue, at least as it pertains to them, and get it down to the creek shed where it's going to go, they're going to raise that rear yard. They have to do it if they build there. That's going to change the elevation of all of the properties in the subdivision south of them. And my concern is, if I'm one of those homeowners, and I have Matt Evans speak to this a little bit too, is what is that going to do to those property owners that have basements? It's going to alter the way the drainage goes through their property right now that they've resolved. In addition to that, there's about a 45 to 50 foot heavily wooded area that screens their entire backyard. in order for this to go into that backyard, they would have to clear cut that. So now you're basically, everybody that's adjacent to them is going to have a clear view into their backyard and actually see this structure. So the location that they're proposing is the best screen property. I wish we had the images up here to show the panoramics. And it's at the highest point to address the drainage issue. And by requiring them, if they come in and have to put it in the rear yard, it kind of, from my standpoint, if I'm one of those property owners in the rear, I want that there. That adds value to my property. It's a nature area where we've got pictures from the presentation of deer and things walking through. And so our position is that we don't see and haven't been provided any evidence in the demonstration, there's going to be claims that it's detrimental or impact to the property. I don't see that. I didn't really get any comments back from engineering or anything. What they're trying to do here is to continue the improvements that they've done over the last few years. It's in the remonstrances that have been provided so far from the property owners supporting this. And from just a general standpoint of the impact of the one owner that's going to have a visual of this building in the front yard, they're in support of it because of the fact that they've come in and cleaned the property up and helped fix some of the flooding issues to the extent that they can on their property. With that, I want to tender this original letter since I can't present that through the PowerPoint. I believe that owner is going to speak in support of that here in a moment when it opens up to the public hearing. But before I do that, I know that Mrs. Leeds would like to make a statement. I know Matt Evans would like to address specifically some of the concerns that have been brought up in these meetings about the impact of putting a building here on adjacent properties, just given his history and knowledge in the residential sales community in Porter County, extensive experience. So with that, Mrs. Leeds, do you want to...
You just need your name and address and try to talk loud enough so everyone can hear, please.
Jennifer Leeds, 1800 Indian Boundary Road. I just wanted to make a statement. I'm not good at public speaking, so I wrote it down. So my husband and I recently decided to move, so we looked into the Chesterton area as we love that area. We were able to find our dream home on a beautiful piece of property. It was wonderful to know that we had found our forever home in the community that we love. Something we had worked very hard all of our lives to achieve. Unfortunately, the joy didn't last, as we found out firsthand the drainage issues that had been discussed previously. Long story short, my husband and I have invested a substantial amount of money in our home to make sure that we would correct any problems that would cause damage to our home and to help the drainage issues around the property. When we moved here, we envisioned being able to live our lives and enjoy our life as we had before. My husband and I have worked extremely hard over the years to be able to enjoy the hobbies that mean so much to us. We have been able to purchase the classic cars and motorcycles that will be stored in this building that we enjoy so much. My 68 Le Mans, for example, is something that is exceptionally dear to me. My husband and I have worked together on it, and he has taught me how to do everything from suspension work to a complete motor rebuild. Our cars are our passion, and we take pride in them, and this is what would be stored in our building. We only want to be able to protect what we've worked so hard for. The house we had that we recently sold had a 40 by 54 building in it, and this was the good size that allowed us to protect our things as well as to have room to maintain our vehicles. Our property is extremely unique because in 1954 they were able to build the home 3/4 of the way back on the 2-acre property. Because of that, we have very limited backyard space. We wish to place the detached garage in the front yard, as this is honestly the only location that makes sense for this property. Not only will it create the least amount of impact to our property, but also to our neighbors. We have done our due diligence to make sure we address all concerns that have been brought up. We are part of this neighborhood and want to continue to do so. Unfortunately, if we're not able to place the building in the location because of the added extreme expense and the detriment of putting it in the backyard, we would be forced to look at moving. This is our home, and we wish to be able to continue to live our lives as we had before, but we will not be able to do this if these variances are not approved. Thank you for your time.
Matt?
Hi, Matt Evans. I live at 706 Washington Street, Valparaiso, and I'm a real estate agent. I'm the broker owner of Remax Lifestyle Valpo, and I was asked to come in and talk today about possible effect on property values to the surrounding neighbors. So I just want to point out that I believe the accessory structure will definitely add value to their property, and by doing so, should add property value to the neighboring properties as well. I do like the fact that their structure would back up to other existing accessory structures. I think that kind of should serve as some precedence and carry weight, I think, in your decision that there's already structure right behind it that would look similar. I do like that the structure is side-loaded, correct? It's going to be a side-loaded garage. I think that that's a nice look. And when it is possibly, part-time visible from the street in the fall, winter, early spring, that would really help that aspect because you're actually looking at the side of a building with windows and other things. So I think putting it in the backyard would have a detrimental effect on the neighboring properties because there's going to have to be more clear cutting of trees, and certainly the neighbors behind it would then see it a lot more. And I believe, Adam, 4 or 5 homes back up to that property. So without the image on the screen, I'm speaking from memory. So I believe I've covered everything. Adam, do you want to cover? There you go. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I'm going to start in on the list of people that signed up to speak. I would like to tell you that there's a lot of people here that have signed in. For the sake of brevity and time, if anybody just wants to say that they agree with everything that's been said already, we understand the full weight of that. We don't take it as any lighter of a statement that you are, whatever you're saying, for or against this. So feel free to do that to save time. Otherwise, we'll go through the list, and at the end, I'll ask for anybody that didn't sign up that still wishes to talk. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, the first one is at 703 Timber Court. The PA.
It's me.
Okay.
Jen.
All right,
Colleen
okay.
Stone. We're friends with Dave Jones, and yes, I agree with everything they had to say. We got to see the drainage problem firsthand. It was horrible. They took care of it. It's all taken, it's all done. Very neat. I don't know the public either, but everything that they brought up is perfect. Where they're going to put the where they're going to put the garage makes sense. It's not anybody's vision. It's actually going to be tree lined pretty much in the street. So we just hope they make it.
Thank you. Daryl Stone.
Also at 703 Timber Court, Chesterton. Like my wife said, we've known these people for years. We've been to their house before they moved here. Always, you'll never go to their garage and find a bucket of oil sitting outside. There's no mess outside. The yard's always clean. It's always nice. It's not an eyesore. What they want to build is something nice. If you need an eyesore to look at, go down the street. There's several of them down there that don't look nice. What they want to do is they want to spend some money in this community on something that you guys get to collect tax money that will look nice.
Thank you. Beverly.
Beverly Perkins Long, 281 Robbie Lane. And I agree with everything. They will keep the place very neat. When you have classic cars, leave them outside, especially when you have a passion for them. And everything will be neat. And where they're going to put the garage is the best location.
Thank you. Marie Gage? Okay.
Yes, I'm a neighbor of my new neighbors, and I welcome them in my neighborhood. I come out my house, front house, looks to the east. I see my neighbor, 1835. All I see is 2 barns. They're renting out to people from Chicago. They never ask me for permission, or do I got a clear view? I've been there for 30 years. Then I got a neighbor the other side of me. They got an evergreen this much away from my property. They're ruining my roof. I had to replace 3 times roof. They don't clean it. They don't cut it. I got a husband with Alzheimer's. I have to do everything myself. And I take care of him. And I'm embarrassed that my neighbors came here. They don't see the property. I want to see that barn. I want it there because of the water issue we have. We have water issue 30 years since I've been there. My house flooded 4 times. You don't know how much work that is. And I approved, and I wanted to have the house and have a building. And they keep the house beautiful. Since they moved in, I didn't have no flood in my basement yet. They clean all the ditch, and they keep it properly nice and neat. So I do beg you to approve it and make improvements in Chesterton. These older people need to move on and let younger people start taking care of their property. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can you please state your name and address again, please?
My name is Marie Gerges. I live 1780 Indian Boundary Road. I
Thank
live
you.
next door.
Thank you.
And I'm only one that I'm going to see the barn. Other people don't even see it. They got a big tree. There is a wooden throne. You can't even see from Indian Boundary property in the back. I live there for 30 years now. I appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Jane Cooperman? Need your name and address, please?
Jane Cooperman, 1835 Indian Boundary Road. We're the house directly on the other side with the two outbuildings that are behind the house. One of them is the oldest barn in the community in that area. And there, we gave you a petition, I hope you've seen it, of neighbors directly across the street and in the cul-de-sac. And there are a couple of issues. Drainage is an issue that we brought up initially in that period of time, but also we live in a nice residential community. And what we believe is having a commercial-sized pole barn in the front of the yard is just not appropriate. And it sets a bad precedent for this area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Mapp?
Map 1835 Indian Boundary Road. We came to Chesterton and bought our house in 1989. Happy that we, completed the search for a peaceful residential area to live in, and it has been so. Now, the only bad thing that's happened recently is that the Andershot decision has put a hole in the dike, and any further building which seems commercial at all, or a pole barn, for example, which we have none of otherwise, seems to further compromise the residential quality of our neighborhood, and would affect, I think, the property values and our peace of mind. Thank you.
Nancy McGowan?
Hi, I'm Nancy McGowan. I live on Arbutus Drive, and the fact that the one neighbor is the only one that can see that building is incorrect. If I look out any of my back windows on my house, I'm going to be able to see that house. We had petitions with over 30 names on them. Did you receive those petitions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 30 names in a small neighborhood like that is a lot of people who, when we told them what the petition was for, they were appalled at the fact that he wanted to build, I don't even know how you could call a building 42 by 48 a pole barn, but that's what they call it. But they were all against it, very much against it. He said that they did clean out the drainage ditch, but since then, they have also cut down a tree and pushed those logs into the ditch, and it has now built a dam across that ditch. And I looked at it the other day after we had had some rain, and there's water on this side, and there's water on this side of those logs that he put in that. So he basically has built a dam in that ditch, which is not going to help the drainage issue once we have a lot of rain. I attended both of the meetings with Mr. Burns, and he did his homework. He was very diligent in doing his homework and asking questions, and he declined to approve that because he felt very strongly that a pole barn should not be in the front yard. And right now, you can't see it, but there are 6 months out of the year when there are no leaves on the trees, and for those 6 months, we are going to be able to see that pole barn, and it looks like an industrial building in an industrial park. Anything that is 42 feet by 48 feet is enormous, and it is going to look like we have an industrial building in that neighborhood. And when the leaves were not on the trees was when that building was staked out, and from the sidewalk you could see the stakes in the ground. If you can see the stakes in the ground with no leaves on the trees, imagine what it's going to look like with a 42 by 48 building in there. And especially when it's almost 2 stories high. There is sufficient room in the back. I walked back there before there were leaves on the trees, and there is sufficient room in the back. I don't understand why he's so adamant about putting it in the back. The other thing is, if you approve that, you're opening a floodgate of anybody who wants to put anything in their front yard. And they get it denied by the, I think it's called the something development board. If they want to spend the time and the money, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, well, look what you let him do in Chesterton. So somebody could say, I want to put a purple shed in my front yard, and what are you going to say when you've approved him? It's not a hardship. If it was a hardship or anything like that, I could see you approving it. But this is not a hardship. This is a hobby, and he doesn't want to look at the pole barn in his backyard. But we have to look at it every time we go up and down that street for 6 months out of the year. And I don't know how visible it's going to be when there are leaves on the trees. But I just feel, I feel very strongly about the fact that it's an ordinance. There's an ordinance in effect in Porter County for a reason. And putting that huge building in the front yard is taking away a great deal of the beauty in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, that's all that's on the list. Is there anybody else that did not sign up that wishes to say something different that hasn't been said?
Can I say something?
You have one more turn. We need your name and address again, please.
Don't address other people in the audience. If you have something to say regarding this case, that's relevant to this case, then address the board with this case.
I just want to say.
We need your name and address again.
1780 Indian Boundary. The logs that came down, they're mine, because I had a surgery in my knee. I couldn't go and pick them up. The rain came the other day, they were stuck, but there was so much water, you pull them down into the ditch. So it's not their logs, it was mine, and they're still there, because I got nobody to come over and help me clean it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Swarton.
Yes, thank you. At the last hearing, we presented photographs from both the street and the sidewalk, both straight on at this property and from angles that shows what the conditions are visibly with and without leaves. So I think those kind of speak for themselves. I know a lot of the folks here that demonstrated against us were there and saw those photographs. All I can say is that, you know, you're not going to be able to have a clear view of this building at this location. But when we look at the only other option, which comes with significant additional costs on them, in addition to clear cutting a heavily vegetated area to the back of the property, we are going to be directly impacting. I'll count them right here because we didn't have the presentation. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes that are going to have direct view in the backyard. I understand that there are folks here that don't live adjacent to this property, they live down the street, or they walk this portion, and their concern is the impact that's going to have on them walking down the street and seeing a building on somebody else's property. I don't see where that passes the standards under the Indiana Code for what they're trying to demonstrate here and do as far as an improvement to this property. The other thing too, and I have the builder here, this is not a pole barn. This is a post-frame construction building. They are going to be spending money on this building, this accessory structure, that's going to aesthetically look like their house. So they don't want to be walking outside. Their home, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like a neutral tone color, like a sandish color. It's all been updated here since they purchased it from the prior owner. And they're not going to be building, you know, your run-of-the-mill pole barn with different colors. They're going to be matching that aesthetic. So this is where they want to be at. This is not a commercial use. And as far as any other options, you know, they go altering or changing the way the topography is out there with the improvements that they made. You've heard from residents that have lived here for decades that what they have so far done in their front yard, and they're wanting to continue to do that, is improve the flooding situation. So I see this as as an advantage to their use, I see it as an advantage to the adjacent property owners from a value standpoint, and I just go back to the county stormwater engineer. This location makes sense for this building. And if it wasn't for the UDO, you heard from them, it was built back in the 50s. Back in the 50s, I don't think we'd be in front of you for this kind of a variance. If their home was in a different location, I can see putting this in the backyard. It just doesn't make sense.
Quickly, we'll let one more round, but it's got to be something new. We don't want to hear the same thing again, please. If you have something new to say, we will need your name and address again, though.
Jane Cooperman.
You need to stand up so we can all hear you.
Jane Cooperman, 1835. We would see the building every time we go in and out of our driveway. It's right against the property line. And the signatures that you have are from houses directly across the street, a number of them directly across the street. And it's a problem. If it's in the backyard, it impacts people on this other side, and if it's in the front yard, it impacts us.
Thank you. Anything new from anybody? Do you have anything further?
Hold on. The only thing I can say is if we put it in the backyard, we're going to have a more direct effect on the 6 property owners. I'm just going to turn this around. This is the location that they're proposing. You have all this wooded front lot, which is where the drainage issue's at. And the petitioner here, this is their 2 buildings in location and proximity to where they're proposing accessory structure. So they're coming out of the driveway, but that's their rear yard. So it's not their front yard.
Where's the driveway? Can you point the driveway?
Yeah, their driveway, so their house sits right here. You can kind of see the brown roof line. These are the 2 accessory structures. Their driveway, I believe, goes up this way, right? Yeah, it comes out on the
west side of the property.
Yeah, on the west
If
side.
you zoom in on the one application, whatever it is, you gotta do some.
So, my concern just is in looking at this and seeing the water problems that they've had that they fixed, and what the money has to be spent in raising, the impact of the surrounding 6 neighbors to the back, let alone the visual impact, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's why the stormwater engineer made the comment that he did when he was asked to go out there and evaluate it before the continuing.
He only evaluated the front, he didn't go in the back, though, just for the record.
Okay.
The public hearing closed.
I'd like to add something to this property owner real quick.
We need your name and address, and then...
David Leeds, 1800 Indian Boundary.
Thank you.
First, I want to say that as far as the dam that I've created down there, that's because there were bunches of huge trees that were down. And I cut every one of them up, and we simply ran out of time that day, and it's been too wet to get down there to drag the rest of it out. And so that's just an in-process thing. I need 2 dry days to get down there and complete it. So that's the only reason that's still like that. I have a huge pile, given all the wood to my friend of mine to burn in his wood burner. I just haven't, it has not been dry enough for me to get down there and get the remaining out. That's it. And then as far as all the visual impacts of this is not going to be a junk looking structure. This is going to be a brand new, nice looking garage, which is going to have landscaping around it, and it's going to match the home, it's going to match the woods, it's going to be a nice thing to look at. It's not going to be an eyesore by any means. If you want to see an eyesore right down the road from you, there is a pole barn. They say there isn't any, but there is one. It's a canopy building, the back's a pole barn, the front's open, and it's full of garbage. Mine would never look like that. My whole point of this is I want to be able to keep all my stuff inside, under roof, so my yard doesn't look bad.
Thank you.
That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to questions and comments from the board. Jim?
We can defer.
The public hearing's closed.
Defer for a moment.
Okay. Mark?
I've been out there twice. Okay. You have room in your backyard for a pole barn. You have room. You could build it in the backyard. This pole barn of this size, this dimensions, in the front yard is probably one of the worst applications I've seen for a pole barn ever. It does not belong in the front yard. It should not be built in the front yard. It should be built in your backyard, because you do have room, there's no hardship here. It would obscure your house. It is so big, and it's taller than, you have a ranch home. This building's 24 feet tall, and your ranch home isn't that tall. You're gonna obscure your house with this pole barn. So as far as I'm concerned, that all three of your requests here for the height and pole barn in the front yard, and although all three of those are violations of our ordinance for UDOs, and I'm very much opposed to it.
Frank?
Can we see those sightline pictures, please? Do you mind coming, Matt, and come up here?
I have panoramics. These are that's from the front of the driveway with vegetation in the summer. This is in the fall. The building would be back behind all these trees. This is where the creek shed goes through up front. There's no easement to allow county access. This is from an angle from the neighbor who's supporting the application that spoke here moments ago.
Adam, for the record, are these the same ones that you showed at?
They are.
They are, and they were on the screen,
They
right?
were, and I have a
Okay.
thumb drive too if we want
Well, I'm
that.
just making sure so the people that were at the last meeting know that you're showing the same picture.
So this is the back of their drive, they have a circular drive. This location is back in this nook, which is heavily vegetated the whole way around.
That's where you're wanting to put it.
That's where it's gonna go, yeah, that's the highest point on the property. And then this is a panoramic standing at that stake looking back at their property. And then this is the neighbor who's in support, they can see it. So you have vegetation on this side, and then this is that front lot. If I go back, that's what you're up against. And then I have, this is a picture looking east towards the owner that has the two buildings that are here that are almost completely screened during the summer, but they are there. And the lake that floods all the time, that goes through their property, flows over there, they get blocked up and floods the road to the east. So this is who is complaining about, they go out their driveway, they're gonna see this. Well, I don't know what they're gonna see, because that's the view, from that location. And when we get closer, these are their two buildings at the property line. And then the issue that I saw when I went out there, this is their backyard. They have standing water anytime it rains, and this is the wooded area that screens the back of the property from the neighboring owners. So if you clear cut all this, you see this is one house, two houses, three houses, and there's two more that you can't see. If you clear cut that, they're going to see everything back in the back of the property. And in that wooded area, there's even this depression where there's flooding. That all has to get raised, because they can't, if the position is they have to build in the rear yard, this is that location, this is all gonna get raised, that water is gonna go somewhere. And the only place that's gonna go if it gets filled up is in the neighbor's yards. And this is what they see even in the wintertime. They got animals in the backyard, screened from the neighbors, there's evergreens. And this is what they have spent significant costs remediating before even coming in here to propose putting something else on the property. The money that they've spent solving the drainage issues, and they don't want that to be the issue for the other neighbors. So, this is a photograph that was taken just before the first public hearing. I don't know if anybody's been out there since before they cleared this, but this is the clear path to the property to the east where the pond's at. So all this debris and everything that's in that picture, that's on their property. He's cleared all this out, he's continuing to do so. And I know he didn't say this, but I stated it earlier. They're willing to dedicate that to the county, so that, and with the neighbor that was here too, I don't know if they want to speak to that, they're willing to dedicate that for the future. It's going to help alleviate the problem with all the drainage in this area that comes down Indian Boundary Road.
Did they do a study through the county for drainage?
No, we had David go out there because there is swells in the back and the front, so he has water in the front and the back. So David went out there because Rick wanted him to look, and he said that it's not a bad spot because they have drainage on both, no matter where they go, they have issues. So David said that where he wants to put it, he didn't have a problem with it in the front yard. But he didn't look at the backyard or any of that. We just went out to look at conditions where he wanted it to see if it would be fine.
Well, he was okay with it being in the front.
We told him to look at the front yard of where it was gonna be placed, we didn't tell him to go to the back yard, because it's not where he's requesting.
That was strictly on drainage.
Yeah, it was only for a drainage issue, not the.
I had that email, so I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys want to look at that. And that's what he came back with.
He's only there to look at the drainage.
He also said at the last meeting that if it was his property, that's exactly where he would want to put it. That should be in your notes.
He did.
Yeah, as the development.
I guess I want to finish with the comment of, just because that's where he would put it, doesn't mean it should even be built. 2 acres is not a lot of property. And that's a huge barn. I have a barn. I have a barn the size of your barn, or you have, but I have 33 acres. And even in the winter, no one can see that barn.
I mean, I had a large one on my old property, and it was not at all overwhelming.
I'm done.
Is there any way you can go smaller with it? Smaller or?
Well, we already did give a concession, bring the height down 2 feet to 22 feet. And, you know, I have a lift that I want to put in there, that's why I need that height. And as far as the width of it, you know, I could go 48 by 36 to be inside your standards. If I do that, then I can't put 2 cars front to back in there because it's not long enough. So that, I mean, we're talking about 6 feet here. You know, it's not.
You can build it as big as you want in your backyard. Make it 24 feet, fine. Backyard. Front yard is not every piece of property in Porter County is suitable to have a pole barn. Your property is very difficult to locate a pole barn, I understand that. But it certainly should not be in the front yard.
Jim, you would defer, do you have anything you want to ask or say now?
No, I'm good.
Somebody ready to make a motion?
I move to deny case UV, 20,
No, APL.
APL 2024-4.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Looks like it's been a while for this.
For lack of a second, the motion to deny dies.
Do we have a motion that might get a second?
Can I request that Jim has a second to think and maybe comment? Sorry to throw you on the spot.
Is that what you want, Jim?
I guess I'm just curious, this is tough for me because, well, that's a big building. Like, I have 2 acres and I have a 30 by 40 pole barn. You certainly know it's there. It's a big building. I guess I'm curious, is a smaller building okay, and is going in the backyard okay? Because I'm not opposed to someone owning a pole barn, I'll tell you right now. I don't think that they're aesthetically, not appealing. That's subjective anyway, right?
Well, if I felt that I could put it in the backyard and go smaller, I wouldn't even be here filing for a variance, because that'd be within the standards. You know, I mean, I can build in the backyard with no variance.
Correct.
But for me, that size building is important because of the vehicles that we already own. And I provided pictures and values of all that stuff along with my original application. So you're welcome to take a look at it and see what, you know, why I need that space to put it in there. And as far as the height, it's 2 feet, you know. If I build a 20-foot building, it prevents me from putting a lift in there. If I build a 22-foot building, I can do it. You know, which I already own the lift, by the way, it's still in my old lift. So the size and height are just as important to me. And, you know,
David, what size did you say you could go down to? So 36, or what did you say? But you couldn't fit 2 in there, right?
No, I wouldn't be able to fit 2 in there. It'd still be 48, it'd just be 40, instead of 42, it'd be 36. But I wouldn't be able to fit both cars in. So, I mean, the building would be the same size, just 6 feet narrower. Which impact, visually is not gonna make any difference at all, it's just gonna affect me.
Yeah, and if we put it in the rear yard at that size, we're still in here on a variance for the size, because we're over by the square footage. So, just saying, put it in the rear yard, we're still gonna be in here on that variance.
Well, the other thing is if we regret them putting it in the rear yard, David Champion didn't look at that, so we don't know what drainage issues that would be creating.
I was just confused, because I don't know how he established that being the
If
height.
we're not ready to make a decision tonight, continue it to the next month.
Okay.
I honestly think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
We've been continued since February.
Just so you know, we're trying to do this right for everyone in this room, including you. So, I make a motion to continue till the next meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to continue to the next meeting. Can I do a voice vote on that?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, Brian's gonna add something, I think. Oh.
I do want to add something. What's our rights as far as looking at these sight lines from the concerned neighbors' properties? I mean, we would knock on their door and say, hey, can I, I'm on the
Correct.
committee, can I look from your backyard?
Correct.
Okay. So is there anyone in this room opposed to us doing that?
Doing what?
Showing up on your doorstep and
Asking
having
to
you
see
show
from your perspective what it would look, where it would be.
Come to my house and look out my back window, and when there are no leaves on the trees, you're going to see that building.
Okay, Chrissy, you were gonna say something? I'm sorry. All right, we have a motion to continue until the next meeting, and board members have the ability to go to neighbors' houses and ask to see.
Who made the motion?
Brian made the motion and Jim seconded it.
Thank you.
I think it's important to point out too, that regardless whether it's front or backyard, people are going to see this. So whether people see it or not.
Front and back is relative with where this property is.
Well, maybe everybody go visit the site and
I've been there twice.
I've been there
I've
once.
walked the
but-
property, and I know what exists there. The fact is, they can build it in the backyard.
No, they can't.
You know, and there
Okay,
just
let me-
isn't any,
all right, just
I
continue to move out.
There isn't any
Let's
good
vote.
reason.
Wait.
We have a
All right,
motion.
let's do the vote.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so it's continued to the next meeting, next month.
Okay.
So
We'll see you
just
next
so-
month.
So I can clarify, the next meeting will not be a public forum, correct? It's just old business.
It'll be, the correct way of stating it is that it'll be a public meeting without a current public hearing. But the board can vote pursuant to its rules to open the public hearing back up.
Okay.
That is normally attached to new evidence or a substantial change in what you're
My house is in the
suggesting.
front now. It's full of water in the back.
Okay. All right, thank you for your
But I do
time.
not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to the next case now.
I complained to the lady, so we did.
We can't hear what's going to happen.
I'm sorry, I can't do anything about no microphones. We're,
Can you tell us what's
The
going to happen?
case was continued till next month,
Okay,
That's
same
it.
date.
that's it.
You can call our office, it's gonna be the third Wednesday of August, whatever date that is.
17th? Just look.
Thank you.
21st, sorry.
21st.
August 21st is the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, next case, UB 2024-35, Michael Zaharias. Location is 137 South, 200 West. Zonings are R. Request is to operate a business called Me To Go Rental that provides rental equipment and trailers from the property. Christie, any? Monica, anything from staff? Okay.
We did have a DRC meeting where we
Okay.
person and talked to them.
Okay, did everybody hear that?
No.
They had been before DRC? Mike, you want to say it again so that the board knows?
Earlier this month, the petitioner did appear before the Development Review Committee for an informal hearing that we heard as far as his requirements, gave him suggestions for what he should do in preparation for this meeting.
Okay. All right. Name and address and...
My name is Michael Zaharias. Address is 137 South, 200 West, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385. I'm asking for a use variance for a mini equipment rental company.
Explain like what kind of rental equipment and how people are coming and going, like what you're doing currently, how it works, the process.
So the equipment I have right now is two smaller tractors. One's a mini backhoe variant, another one is a compact skid loader. I've got 4 trailers, one of them is a dump trailer. I'm basically streamlining the rental process. Essentially, customers show up by appointment time, or I deliver. About 7 out of 10 of my customers I'm delivering to right now. I've got regular walk-behind equipment. A lot of it's dirt work. I've got saws. The actual equipment itself I can store in my back garage. And then the compact loader goes in my front garage. I've got the trailer sitting on the side of the house.
You're doing this 7 days a week, all seasons, everything, what, just those hours, employees?
Just myself. Hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Michael, talk a little louder. What was it?
I'm sorry.
What was the time?
8 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to add?
I've not had a single person just stop by like a conventional business. It's typically they contact me either social media or cell phone, and then they set their appointment and they show up and hook up to whatever their equipment is and they take off.
You said you're delivering, what's the percentage of deliver versus pickup?
I'd say 70%.
Of delivered?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a couple people that signed up to talk, and one is Kevin and Bern Larger. Okay. We need you to stand up, state your name and address, talk loud, because we don't have microphones, please.
Okay. I'm Kevin, my wife Bernie Largura. We're at 178 Goodview Drive, 46385. Their facility is on 200. We live at the end of the block on Goodview, so we're kind of right around the corner at the end of the block. There's a number of neighbors here that are...
We can barely hear you.
I can hardly hear you, yeah, thank you.
All right. She told me to speak loud.
I know.
So, again, we're just down at the end of the block. But we do have some pretty strong concerns about what's going on. It's a residential area. And it's not a light commercial area. It's not a commercial area. It's residential. It's a neighborhood. And that's our concern. This is a commercial venture, similar to, I'm sure you're all familiar with rigs, lawn and garden. That's the type of equipment he has, certainly not as much, but it's not, we don't feel it belongs in a residential area. Second of all, the thing is, I guess I don't understand enough about your process in terms of variance. My background, I've been involved in variances, but they usually have to have some compelling reason for, in my business, it was the public good. And so my viewpoint is I don't understand why a variance would just be granted, or if they're even asking for a variance, or is it just the ability to continue to operate. So I guess we would rather have neither. I guess we also feel the third thing I want to bring up is we just feel that it really will have a negative impact on our home values. People move to where we move because we're out in the country and it's quiet, and this is not what we want to see going in and out, of the area. It's just why we're there. The next thing I think I kind of covered when I mentioned rigs, that's zoned that way, and that's why they're there, and we don't feel this is. If it was a unique business, that might be a compelling reason, but there's Midwest Rentals, up on Calumet Avenue. People can go there, and certainly he's abided by all the zoning rules of the county to be in business. I think one of my fears of something like this, if you become very successful, does a company like a Riggs or a Midwest Rental go, we'd like to buy your business? And before you know it, how big do they make it? Now we've got a true, large commercial enterprise in our neighborhood. That's not going to help our home members. A little bit, that's just kind of our, just don't think.
Our home value is not going to help. Tremendously burden.
Just don't think it belongs where it's. I'm not aware of any other business type thing along 200 or in that general area, 150, that has it. We have a lot of school buses going by, and it's big equipment, so.
Thank you.
Well, the other thing too.
We need your name and address if you're gonna talk.
Bernie Larger, 178 Goodview Drive. We were not notified. Most of the people on our block were not notified of this at all, and it's a tremendous impact to us. I think only a handful of people, just in the next door to them were referred. So there's probably 30 other homes that weren't.
We sent it out to within 500 feet of the property owner. So if you're within 500 feet, and that's state statute, and then we posted a sign out there, and then in the paper, so.
Okay, I'm just saying that.
Thank you. We have Dan Newkirk.
My name's Dan Newkirk. Address is 141 South 200 West, Valparaiso, 46385. And Mike is my next door neighbor. He's been a good neighbor. I moved to that area on 200 West in '89, and I had different neighbors on both sides. And Mike moved in, and young man just got married, had kids. And he works hard, and he's been a good neighbor for me. And my property is just right to the south of his, right next door. And he's keeping it clean, and keeping it organized. And I have no problem with his business. There's various places, very few places that you can go to find small equipment that a homeowner can use, as opposed to Midwest, which has larger equipment. And sometimes larger equipment is tough for a neighbor to, in a neighborhood setting, to use. So I'm for his business. I hope he has good success.
Thank you. That's all that's signed in. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this issue?
Robert Evans, 197 Goodview Drive.
197 what?
Goodview.
Okay.
On the corner. I think, I rent from Riggs, he got the equipment. I don't think that needs to be over there. Our road is a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's just baby. We got kids doing wheelies, we got four-wheelers, we got everything out there on 200. And when they come to his place, they gawk, they fall off to the side, they have to back into his driveway to get this stuff. I'm worried about somebody's gonna get it because of the safety part of it. But he had all this stuff in the front yard, and all the people stopping to look at it because it looks nice. It's brand new Kubota stuff. Let's look at it. And then everybody else down there driving at 80 miles an hour, have to slam on the brakes. This happens all the time. And somebody's gonna get it. So that's my worry. I read from him, I read from Riggs. But I don't like there because of the safety issue.
Thank you. Anyone else who didn't sign up?
I apologize for not signing up, but I didn't know what was involved.
Just give us your name and address, you can still talk.
So, Linda Iwan, 192 Goodview Drive, Belleville. Mike is my neighbor. My property is adjacent to his backyard, or backyard to me. But I'm afraid of, we went to the county to see what he was involved in, or what he was going to be involved in. I'm against the business. It's a residential area. That being said, I'm for safety. Like Bob said, 200 is very busy. There's no place to pull in equipment, get out equipment, being safety. My backyard comes up to his backyard. He
He's thinking about having employees. There's no parking. There's werewolves may be trained. I don't want to see it in the backyard. I have enough to look at. He's planning on expanding. When he first moved out there, or can't remember how many years ago, but he had said he was going to get a building. Can't possibly, I wouldn't think, build anything more in his backyard, which I don't want to look at. But for safety, there's no loading, unloading. Our yards are it's just 1 acre, and the front yard is small. I mean, I see some of his equipment, I do pass out, he's not 200, but I'm more worried about the backyard. I don't know if training would be an issue if he ever had to move in the backyard, but I don't think it's an appropriate place for a business. Again, he's thinking about employees. Where are they going to be trained? Where are they going to park? He's planning on expanding. And strangers in the neighborhood, where employees going to park, and that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Tyler Zagarias, 137 South, 200 West. I live there. We do have 2 young kids. I get the concerns of strangers. I will say it is a very call. Don't just come to our house. We've never had anyone just show up. I understand all concerns and he will address all of those. I would just like to say on my side of it, I would love everybody to succeed and find something that you like to do and want to do it at. I do understand that there are other businesses that already do this. I respect that, but just like Walmart, there's also Target. There's other places. This is just something that I think, we don't live in a neighborhood. We do live on that very busy road, but to do something, you have to start somewhere. So if this is somewhere we can start, and then we can have our own place to have it. I think that's something that is getting forgotten about. You can't just put all the money out and not have anything to start with. So it's important to start somewhere, and then be able to have our own place, because I understand the concerns, just like we had talked about the concerns of people pulling in and out, but we've mainstreamed it, people know, and we keep it down where people don't come during high traffic time. That was our biggest thing, is we can't have people renting at high traffic times. They have to come early in the morning or, in the evening. That way we're not hitting those high traffic times. We live there, we know how heavy traffic. We have 2 kids up right there, bikes and drivers.
Thank you. We'll let you go ahead and state answer any of the questions or concerns.
Yes. So for the question as far as employees...
You're going to address your comments to us, but do speak loud enough so everybody can hear, please.
Sorry. For comments of employees and expansion, this is just for startup. My hope is within 1 to 2 years I can go into a commercial lot. And as y'all know, real estate has skyrocketed, and I spent capital into equipment for homeowners that can utilize it to DIY their yards or the various amount of projects they may have. I have no employees. I have a security system completely around my house, and a system that most people can't even see because I have other assets to that. No equipment's offloaded in my backyard. I have no intent of putting up another building. The rear garage was already there. And the only other thing I had going was I had a maybe 12 by 24 inch sign, no different than a politician's in the front yard. Yes, my equipment is new and it is shiny. Mr. Brickner, I know you showed up and saw some of that on Friday, but I don't run it outside of unspeakable hours, so to speak. Once it hits 8 o'clock, dusk, I don't have that stuff running. You might hear my truck, but you won't hear equipment running.
We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Brian, questions or comments?
So your store, I have Google Maps up. You're storing this stuff at that on the southeast side of your property?
South side. Yeah. Southwest side. I've got a fence right there that splits the house in half. All the trailers are parked in front of that fence. The 2 tractors I can actually fit in my back garage. They're maybe a little bit bigger than your everyday ride-on tractor.
But I see your home. Is there a little pool behind there?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a structure east of that.
Yes.
On the south side.
Yes.
That's the building that you hold your equipment. That's the building where the equipment is.
That's where I put it, yes.
Yeah. How much equipment do you have?
I have 2 tractors, I have a compact track loader, I've got 4 trailers, I've got a little cement mixer, aerator, rototiller, and a plate compactor. And between that back garage during winter months and then my front garage, that's where the equipment actually goes. As of right now, the 2 tractors and compact loader are on trailers in my driveway.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Jim?
So you've been doing this for a minute?
Since October, that's my officially started business.
Okay. I like the business, I think it's a good business. I don't know if this is an appropriate area. I actually just live right around the corner from you, and I can certainly attest to how busy 200 West is and how fast some of us drive on that road probably. I couldn't imagine really trying to back a trailer into that driveway on 200 West, so I certainly understand the safety concerns. I do like the business. I didn't know you were doing it. Is there a way, this is just asking, we also understand you do have to start somewhere. You do something for like a year, and then after that, there's no way it ever gets approved again? The way you've got a year to get established and get out without killing the business? I don't know if that's a possibility.
Anything's possible.
I'll just leave it at that for now, then.
To answer your question directly, the board would have the authority, if it chose to pass a motion that would allow this use variance, this location to sell rental equipment for a specific time period. That is possible.
I think I would be fine with that, because I don't want to kill the business. I understand you've got to start somewhere, put a time limit on it, and I would also, again, just because I literally live right around the corner from you, I would like to maybe see where you can't pull trailers in and out, or I guess there's no way to not.
Make it
pull
all
trailers in.
delivery.
All delivery.
Well, they pick up. I was there when they were picking up.
I know, but we can make it all.
Oh, we can, sure we can.
Can you pull in with a truck and trailer, hit your backyard, come around so that your trailer's facing back
No.
out, or you have to back in?
Yeah, I won't have
Septic back
vehicles
there?
driving over that septic field.
Yeah, it's like your septic is back there.
Is there any alternatives that we can think of? I mean, I understand the business, but business is hard. Starting a business is hard. And there's loans, and there's, there's things out there, there's resources. I definitely don't think it should be permanent.
No. 100%.
Not even close.
100% not.
And I agree with giving a small business a chance, because that's what builds this country. But I'm thinking, could you put them in storage units? Could you, there's gotta be little warehouses, I know they're expensive, but honestly, I want your card.
Yeah.
For me.
No, he lives in
So,
right around the corner.
I need that kind of stuff, because I'm not doing stuff with the big heavy machinery. It's too dangerous for me. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
But there is no desire to continue this business at my house any longer than
I know,
have to.
but it's not your business. I hope you become a billionaire with it, but that's where I'll stop.
I was there, and he had 2 Kubota front-end loaders and a compactor. Problem here is it's a very small community, tight-knit, with 3/4 acre lots. And this type of equipment, storing it, loading it, when I was there, they loaded it, Kubota on a truck. This is a commercial business. It really has to be moved out of this area at some time. I agree with members of the board when they say, we make this a temporary situation until you find commercial property. But that can't go on for very long, because this community is not designed, or the roads aren't designed, the driveways aren't designed for this type of business. So I'm opposed to having it at your house like this, because of it's a relatively small yard and a relatively small driveway. And all these heavy equipment, these front-end loaders, are really not suitable. Your driveway is not suitable for this. So I agree with Brian and Jim that we should give you a chance to get a business, relocate your business in a commercial area. No more than a year, you know, and you should be able to find some place to conduct your business besides at your home in this subdivision.
All right, I have two questions. Is this your livelihood, or do you have another job, or?
I still work a full-time job, yes, ma'am.
So this is just on the side job?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're trying to grow to your livelihood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it possible for you to have it just delivery, rather than anyone picking up?
It is possible, yes.
Can I expand on that? I'm not joking, I would use your equipment. I have a trailer. It's not even street legal, sorry. Okay? I can't afford a big, huge, nice trailer to be used once in a very blue moon. So, point being, I would use your business, okay? But I am not good enough backing a trailer up. I'm a physician. I can't back up a trailer good enough to be safe in that territory. So I am a hard no if it's not delivery only, period. Just because I know I would probably try it, and then I would hurt somebody or myself.
Do you know a good doctor?
Not for punctured lungs.
Getting back to my conversation, you would be able to do delivery only? I mean, you could schedule it that way, and that would...
Sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
It can be, the issue is there's customers that don't want to pay that delivery fee. And at that point, I'm taking a complete loss between my business insurance, my commercial auto insurance. That's $4,000 a year just on my truck. I'm another $22,000 a year in equipment and trailers. And that's not even everything. I try to do
You gotta
delivery
wait
as
though,
much
which
as I
is
can.
more, you know, if you don't have a customer because of not wanting to pay the delivery fee, maybe they will, maybe they won't, or not being able to have it at all, so.
I know when I'm out there with them, can I say something?
You do need your name and address so we can know who's talking on the tape.
137 South, 200 West. So the people that typically pick up actually are contractors, so they have CDLs and their job are to drive trailers.
Okay, would you be willing to allow only, just throwing it out there, only people that can pick up from your property have a CDL?
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask if you could
Who's gonna
suggest.
monitor it?
Yeah. So that, because he has to get
Well, if
there.
somebody dies without a CDL license, then he's liable for a big lawsuit. Then his business won't exist.
He has to have their insurance anyways, even for him to bring it to them. So he has their insurance anyway, so that would have to be a proof that you have. Because it's mostly contractors that pick up. People that are renting for their home, he brings to them. So it's usually not just average daily people picking it up. Just like you said, they don't know how to back in, pick up a trailer, all of that.
You say that's been out since October?
Yes.
So I do live right there, and I've never even known it was there, so you'd think if it was really, maybe, I know it would be an issue if it was all the time, but I haven't noticed it since October, so I guess I would be okay, again, for just the 1 year, and after that, it's gotta move.
Can you make that a motion?
Can I just ask one question? Do you think it should be delivery only? Do you think it should be delivery in CDLs, or just leave it open?
Well, if they're fine with the CDL thing, then we may as well put that stipulation on it, just to be a little safer. But I live right there, and I've never even noticed what they got going on. It only takes one time.
What information do you have to gather from the renter when you're talking about the insurance?
I've grabbed their driver's license. If they're hauling it, I have to have their auto insurance for the vehicle. I have to have their homeowner's insurance. For contractors, I have to have their COI, and I have to be added to their COI, and that's stipulation with my insurance.
So if the board were to make a stipulation that the pickups had to be somebody with a CDL, if anyone ever wanted to test that, you would have record of all the driver's license in your possession because of the insurance being issued.
Yes.
Is everything you rent on a trailer, or is there something people throwing back their pickup truck?
Something's thrown back pickup trucks, cement mixer, blade compactor, rototiller, aerator. They can be put in the back of a pickup truck. Or I've got a little, goes right in the trailer hitch. It's like a little ramp like you see on coolers, just a little bit bigger. It's meant for smaller equipment. It's got a fold down ramp.
Yeah, I'd be okay with anything that goes into a truck, not the small, I have a log splitter goes on my hitch. I don't even trust it. Well, you're not backing up a trailer, you're just pulling back, throwing.
And everything's stored in your building?
The equipment, yes. During
Okay.
inclement weather, winter, yes. Right now, it is not. Right now, right now, my tractors and compact loader do sit outside.
Because
Just have them there.
do they fit in the building?
They will, yes, ma'am.
It is an asphalt driveway, by the way, so there
Yes.
is a weight problem with backing a truck up in the driveway and loading a front end loader or a compactor or some of the stuff that you had in the driveway. On an asphalt driveway, there would be some stress, for heavy equipment like that. Particularly to be loaded in your driveway.
Someone ready to make a motion?
I guess we could make a motion to, looking for the, number.
UB 2024-35?
Yeah, approve UV 2024-35 for only 1 year, with the stipulation of no business signs in the front yard. Any moving of trailers be done with only CDL approved drivers.
Hours of operations, employees,
No employees, right?
Correct.
Said you had
No employees, just myself.
Hours of operation.
What hours do you need? What hours?
Right now I run 8 AM to 7 PM.
8 AM to 7 PM, 7 days a week.
Yes, sir.
Forget anything? Bearing in mind that after 1 year, you will not get another variance.
Yes.
I mean, unless it's a completely different board and they want to,
I mean,
unless something changes there, but probably not.
like if he's a month away from getting a building, or, you
Yeah,
know, there's,
yeah.
but,
Yeah, the idea is to get you off the ground, get you moved out, not kill you.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
voting for case UV-2024-35, Marvin Brickner, yes. Jim Clarda, yes. Brian Dammit, sorry, this is our signature.
Yes.
Yes, and Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
But-
Did you come to the plan commission and get a driveway permit for that extension that you did?
I've got it all doodled up. I have to email it to, I think.
Rob Goodman?
Yep.
Okay. I was just making sure you did that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we do have one more case, but we're gonna take a 5-10 minute break in the meantime.
Real bad.
Scheduled so much.
Yeah.
Christie.
Yeah.
What?
Who scheduled so much? Did you have nothing to do tonight?
You wouldn't believe the list of variances I have.
Interesting process on this list. We go back to Indiana, what's the regulatory commission?
Why, but that was interesting. Well, third Wednesday of every month.
Thank you.
You're welcome, that's fine.
Are you stable? No, I'm not.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we go to candy?
I did, I'm so hungry. Nervous. No, don't need any more.
Oh, I think they're pretty good.
I like how they,
I'm hungry too.
I like how there's a soft center one.
You know, that's the problem with 5:30. We used to have it at 6 o'clock, but then we were going to midnight.
No, I wouldn't want to start any later, so we can start earlier.
Yeah, 5:30, you'll have time to eat, you'll have time to go home and...
Ulterior motives.
Going on a big, my big shooting trip here in a couple weeks. For Michigan. I'm going here in a couple weeks.
Oh, you are?
To Michigan.
Sporting place?
Yeah, a bunch of us go every year. A place called, no, it's called Nemo's Farm in Michigan. It's a big, like, we stay in the lodge there, we got our own chef. We shoot sporting clays all day, they got rifle range, trap speed, it's amazing. Just 2.5 days of shooting. From pistols, rifles, sporting clays, trap speed, everything. It's awesome.
What are you gonna shoot? Sporting place?
We'll all shoot everything.
Oh, you shoot everything?
They got a regular trap and skeet course, they got a sporting clays course, and like I said, they got long rifle range, pistol range,
Yeah.
they have everything. It's awesome. Yeah.
I was, out on the deck this afternoon, had 11 turkeys in my backyard. One hen, 12, one hen and 11 little chicks.
Yeah.
About yay big,
Yeah.
in the backyard. They're still looking for cicadas. They found over all the dead leaves
Are they?
and branches that the cicadas.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch them.
Where do you live at?
Pines Estates, across from the old Pines Ski Lodge, remember the Pines?
Oh, yeah.
Small little across the street there,
Subdivision over there, right?
subdivision, called Pines Estates.
I don't think I've ever been in there.
50 years, I've built my house 50 years ago.
Wow.
74. So I lived there for 30 years. I really like it, it's really nice. I got 350 acres. Camp Lawrence is right behind my house. And my backyard goes into Camp Lawrence.
Okay.
And all woods back there, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott? Can you get out of it pretty soon?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I really legitimately wish we
So this is gonna be complicated. I thought there were a lot of opposition to this.
That was all over a pole barn. Well, the opposition was over a pole barn.
Yeah, the obsession with two things in Porter County, horses and pole barns.
Honestly, I don't know how you could function without one. I got a lot of stuff. It was funny when there, you know, when one person was talking about 200 being busy, kids on four-wheelers, I'm like, those are mine? Those are my kids. It's true. Because we live on 100 right there, which goes into 200. And both the kids have friends that live like, I mean, it's like right there.
Yeah.
So they ride the polo down to their buddies.
How many kids do you have?
Great.
Young children.
17, 15, and 12.
17?
around here.
Yeah. Junior in high school?
Going into a senior year.
What's he want?
Not that I'm aware of.
They can be an electrician. We'll see. I think he needs to go to the military, to be honest with you. You don't want to be
Well,
good.
that probably won't be bad either.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, you get free training, you get training and
I think
serve
go
and all
sit
that
there,
stuff.
that's what they have to.
Go to college?
I haven't done
He's
that.
kind of built for it as far as like his attitude, not like a bad attitude, but like he's a tough, pretty tough kid. Like I think he would do good in the military.
Is he an athlete?
Yeah, he's not playing sports anymore, but he's, you know, pretty naturally athletic kid, can do everything from baseball, soccer, you know, basketball.
I think he's going to go to the Marines, so.
I don't know about Marines, I think he could serve in one of the branches, or would be fine. Maybe kind of figure out, I mean, I think you can go learn to be a mechanic, go be a cop, I mean, there's a ton of stuff.
Keep our fingers crossed with not any conflict.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, not everyone who goes through the service is in like a combat zone.
Oh, no.
There's a ton of support, certainly mechanics and,
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of fields, all kinds of different fields, you know.
If you take them, a lot of guys go and they don't take it.
Yeah, and then there's the GI Bill afterwards, I mean, if you wanted to go to college, you either honestly though, I look back, I kind of wish I would have done that instead of going to college.
No matter what.
I ended up in the trade anyway. Instead of doing 4 years of college, I wish I would have done 4 years. Yeah, I wish I would have served 4 years.
Well, it's drafted, I got out of college. I was married, I had 2 kids. And I got drafted, I had my one.
You would not have your line. Good luck on that.
We'd make sure.
My physical was like, oh, I was over there. I signed my from it, to be honest.
You would, would you?
I was 6'7" and a half.
Wow.
So this is
I
very
get up at
smart.
the end and then stamp it in 1A. And then he said, you don't look at it all. Go back and get rid of it. I got back in line. I said, what are you doing back there? He said, well, I told me to come back and get remarried. She didn't even measure me. She dressed down 6'8". I took it back. I think they had medical insurance. So I thought I was going to go for 6 months if I was in engineering. And mine was still pretty good skill difference. So it's 6 months and then you're done. I didn't go 6 months, so. I had a license in and that was going to be tough.
So, when everyone gets
Just bought a house.
out over that, it all looks very
So I didn't go to the
You can either put your fence here,
Kind of sorry.
today, basically the same, you know how to do it.
I have my brother-in-law that's been living with me. My sister died, and so he's been with me for 3 days.
Certified mail.
He's all intelligence. Really smart. He writes books on electric cars. He is absolutely on top of all of the hybrids and electric cars.
He teaches all the military. He was an ex-Marine.
That's one of the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And so they have all these classic properties, secret guards, it's funny, it's massive, definitely around the
Well, Ryan said, come out and fish.
Oh,
I had a chance to water. I did shoot sheep. Not very well. My balance was getting kind of bad.
I don't see.
I had a little bit of a,
He's way over.
I got him shot sporting clay, put it on the line.
I was shot from the trip last year.
Mark, you got any extra, butterscotch?
What?
Any extra candy?
Sure.
Oh, one more. I'll just take one more. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
All I got.
Okay.
It's
We'll go ahead
okay.
and call the meeting back to order. Okay, can work. Okay. Our next case, and final case, is case SE 2024-38, Stephen Sissom, Cosmos Midnight Stable, location is North 500 East. The zoning is A1, and the request is to allow a horse stable with associated uses.
I'm Callie Sissom, 4354 West 760 North, Union City.
Debbie?
We're having a hard time hearing, so can you talk a little louder, please?
Callie Sissom, 4354 West 750 North, Michigan City. I have PowerPoint. I printed it off just in case. All of this, like.
Here.
I'm Julie Sissom, same address.
Can you read that?
That's just for the picture of the property location, that first slide.
Can you read that?
There's words on there?
Get the first page, Mike.
So, the property location, it's a 50-acre parcel on the corner of 1500 North and 500 East. We had it rezoned in 2021 from rural residential to A1 agricultural for the purpose of building a small commercial horse barn, with a maximum of 19 horses on the property. Sorry. On the next slide, it'll be a small eventing stable, offering lessons and boarding, family-owned and run. We have no intention of having additional employees. We would be the only eventing barn in northern Indiana. There's not another eventing barn for an hour and a half drive or more.
What are you calling it?
Eventing.
Eventing.
So the second slide has pictures. Eventing is dressage, cross country, and show jump, all the same horse within a weekend.
I got you.
There was an eventing barn in the area that trainers moved out of the area, so there's now a gap in that market. The next slide shows the proposed site plan. There's no fence. All the fences are 30 feet from the property line. The stable is 445 feet from the nearest neighboring property. We have it quite centralized in the property itself. And then the back 10 acres, which would be behind someone else's property, are undeveloped. We'll just leave that as a riding field, and have no intention of ever putting anything else back there. The main structure is the stable, which would have an attached condominium for the family to live in. The next slide shows how the barns look, as well as labels. I don't know if you can read it, but how small it prints, the sizing of the barn itself. And the next slide, just to give a better idea of how the barn is laid out, kind of an H shape. The slide after that shows the run-ins that we'd like to have in each of the pastures, provide shelter for horses for storms, wind, and then the fencing we have. It's a flexible rail along the top, and then 4 coated wires, 2 of which will be electric. The next slide has our hay barn, which is currently on the property and was permitted. It was built in the fall of 2023. That was immediately after it was built, that photo was taken, so there's some trash in the photo. It's not there any longer. And then the next 2 slides are the blueprint for the interior of the barn, showing the 12 stalls, 2 wash racks, main tack room for boarders, and a small tack room for lessons, as well as the living quarters.
Did you have anything you want to add? We have one person that signed in, Kim Holland.
Kim Holland, 489 East, 1500 North, Michigan City, 46360. 20 years ago, when we bought the property that is catty corner to where they're proposing stable, we bought it because it's a nice little 20 acres of quiet and nice and country. And so I have to oppose this vehemently because it absolutely will affect my property value. If it would have been there 20 years ago, I never would have bought the property. And when I go to sell it in a few years, nobody's going to want to buy a property that's next to the stable. It's going to bring trucks and trailers and people coming to see their horses every day, people in and out with all this stuff, going to events and bringing stuff, and hay deliveries and just tons of stuff that should not be allowed in a residential agricultural area. And there is, within 3 miles, there is a barn, a stable. So there's really not a need, except for fancy people that want to come from Chicago to play event games. So that's kind of the way we feel about it. Our property is very important to us, and we don't need all this stress and trouble that this would bring.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, okay, if you didn't sign in, but you can stand up. We need your name and address.
I am Diane Harper. I live at 463 East, 1400 North, approximately 1 mile from this. I've been wondering what that little building was doing there out in the middle of nowhere. I guess I have some questions. One note that on your agenda that's online, you have this in Boone Township.
Right, and it is Pine, and I neglected to read. I was told to read that in the thing, and I forgot. I'm sorry. That was a mistake.
I got it in there. So, anyway, I kind of don't understand what impact this really is likely to have on my small community. I don't know. I mean, I'm an L from there. I've got woods between my house, a big woods between my house, and there probably won't affect me a whole lot personally. But I have neighbors that I've known for many, many years. I was born right there, so I will be the one, I don't think anybody really knows this is happening in the whole neighborhood.
It was not.
It's not really known. And it is a pretty big thing.
It is.
I personally don't feel, I have mixed feelings about it. Some ways I think it's kind of neat, but in other ways I think we've got such a small rural area between Michigan City and Chesterton and on from Chesterton west, it's all along the lake, it's all city. And we are the area that's between the national park and the Lori Karen Rotary part of the national park. And in some ways, this business might kind of fit into that kind of mode, but I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it. But I'd kind of like to know what the associated use is. That's a very big term.
You need to address your town and
Oh,
stuff, and
I'm
then
sorry.
she'll have a chance to answer.
I'm sorry, I looked that way. I knew that. Yeah, I would like to know what the associated uses are and if there's, what notes I can take to share with my neighbors. Also, what is the plan for animal waste? Because there's not, we're right on the line where there's sand north of this line and hard clay south of it. And I don't know what what kind of permits or things are necessary for the waste that will be generated. Okay. I think that's all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that didn't sign up that wishes to talk? Okay, would you like to address their concerns?
Okay, as far as people coming daily, that really doesn't happen. You might have 2 people that come to see their horses daily. Aside from that, there's going to be people on the weekends. And then we'll have a small lesson program, 2 or 3 horses max, so we're thinking 2 or 3 lessons, 5 days a week. Give the horses a couple days off. Hay deliveries, we plan to have hay fields. Everything that's undeveloped will be hay fields, so we don't have hay coming or going. It's all for us. The barn that's down the road is strictly a boarding barn. They don't allow outside trainers, outside vets. They're very small operations, and they don't give any lessons out of it. And it's a private barn at this point. I think they've stopped taking orders completely. The plan for the manure, so we have, it's on the site plan behind behind the hay shed. There's a 4 concrete slab divided into 3 compost bays with concrete walls and covers. And then if that is not enough space for the manure, we plan on having waste management remove it weekly in a dumpster. Thank you. Yes, we'll turn and water the compost as needed to keep it composting as quickly as possible so that we can use the completely composted material as fertilizer on the field or give it to local farmers. Other associated uses. So eventually, not within the first 3 years, I would say, we do plan to have small schooling shows that probably wouldn't exceed 50 people coming onto the property. We have porta potties for that because our septic we're permitted for is not rated for that large of capacity. And there would be no sound system for that or anything. It's just walkie-talkies. So it wouldn't have a great impact on the community. And as far as trailers coming and going, if the trailer's leaving for a horse show, you're going to see it leave once on the Friday and they'll come back on the Sunday, and it won't have a huge impact on traffic in the area. I think that covers it.
questions?
We'll go one more for questions, but it's gotta be something new, please. And we do need your name and address. If it's something new, feel free, but we need your name and address.
Kim Holland, 489 East, 1500 North, Michigan City, Indiana. She's saying that they're going to give lessons there, they're going to board horses there, and eventually they want to have shows and stuff there. And she's honestly saying that it's not going to impact the people around us. I understood earlier that you said that you only send out 500 feet. Well, this is very rural.
It is posted in the paper, and there's a sign in the front yard.
There is a sign on the corner, which
And it's
is
posted
how
in the
this
paper.
lady found it. But other than that, there's only 2 houses that would fall in that 500 feet.
No, we did, how many letters were up? 12, 10? 9.
And it will affect every one of us, everybody around there. It will affect 5 people a day coming for lessons, 2 people a day coming to see their horses. Everything that's going on over on that farm is going to affect my house.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any further comments, or we're gonna close the public hearing? All right, we'll go to the attorney for some guidance here.
Okay, so, where do I start? I start with, this property was rezoned by these petitioners, end of 21, beginning of 22, from residential to A1, general ag. At that time, when it was rezoned, and that went through plan, obviously, and then the commissioners, at that time, it was already known to be, the request was to go to A1 to be able to have a horse stable, which leads us to today. What I don't know as I sit here right now is whether or not the Plan Commission and the commissioners made it a requirement of the rezone for them to be put under the special exception under A1. So I need to determine that, because they do not, and I repeat, they do not need to be here on that limited issue unless that was a requirement of the rezone. The reason why that is that in A1, general agriculture, the only thing that needs a special exception when it comes to horses is stable, large commercial. A large commercial stable, according to our definitions, is a structure and/or land use in which equines are kept for sale or hired to the public. Breeding, boarding, or training of equines may also be conducted, and it has to be over 20 horses, 20 or more horses. The reason why we'll need to look at the minutes from the commissioners and the Plan Commission meeting minutes is there must have been a reason why they were limited to 19 horses. What I don't know is if they were limited to 19 horses because of other factors and still made to go through the special exception that's required for a large commercial stable, because otherwise they are most likely to these definitions. We have and by the way, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 definitions for stables. But most likely they are the stable, small commercial, a stable that cannot accommodate more than 20 horses. At the lowest level of stable, you're allowed to do the normal boarding and training. So it's not an issue of whether we board or train changes the status of the stable itself. So that's one thing that I need to figure out. However, in the presentation, and the reason why we wanted this to happen is a couple of things we know. We see a plan for a barn, we have 12 stalls, okay? So we know we're not going to be going over the 19 horse capacity. But the second issue is, and I think the real issue is whether or not a horse show can happen here under any of these definitions without a use variance for that specifically. So ultimately, I want everyone to understand we have 2 issues. Did the rezone attach the requirement to this land that if it's used for a horse stable, they have to go under the special exception standards? In a horse stable, unlike a lot of things, but horse stables, telecommunication, things like that, we've added additional requirements to the large commercial stable. That's when we get into manure management, and we get into so many square feet per animal, things like that, where it's a higher regulation. Beyond that is the issue of the more commercial use of a horse show. So those are the two issues I think we need to deal with. I don't know that I heard horse show soon. I think horse show is something on the horizon. It's a plan, a maybe, it could, we might get there type of situation. But ultimately what I would like is the board to continue tonight. Let me figure out those two issues. And then if they're back in front of us, it's for a reason that would be more on point. Because, to be honest, if you were coming here on a variance for the commercial-esque application of a horse show, that's a much different presentation, that's a much different, the who's, the what's, the where's, how does this work in this area? Which is different than whether or not you're a private stable, a riding stable, a small commercial stable, a large commercial stable. That's more what staff and I need to work through, okay? But that's ultimately what I would ask. Marvin, you and I talked before. The way this is set up, it's as if it's fitting our definition of a large commercial stable. But it's not meeting that definition on our book.
The special exception is for a large commercial stable.
So that would be 20 or more horses.
Yes.
So,
20 or more.
I wanted to try to make sure that made sense of why I'm questioning it. But ultimately, and for everyone here, the A1 allows stables. You don't have to even ask at a board. You come get a building permit in A1 if you're not a large commercial stable.
We asked
That
this
is,
question.
I understand, and it's confusing. It's confusing even for legal, so it's not, it's probably, well, I know it's not staff's fault, let's put it that way. But on the horse show side, the performance side, that is going to be its own, I can't imagine it's not going to need its own special notice, meeting, presentation, yes or no, separate from whether or not you can have the stable there that allows the boarding and the training. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Does that help with the board a little? Give a little frame of reference?
So we need to continue
Correct.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
point of clarification.
until we find out what this is gonna be.
Mike's talking, Marv.
If
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
find out that they don't make a special exception, it would just be a report back to them, they could proceed without coming back.
That's correct.
Up to 20.
But not including the horse show stuff. Okay? That's gonna be something we're gonna have to deal with separately. That's clearly not allowed under the code without additional approval.
So essentially, you need to review the records, the minutes.
I can't tell from the record I have whether or not the special exception was something the plan commission purposefully put on the petitioner through the rezone process as an additional safeguard, or if it was used as an argument by the petitioner, if I am that big, I will have to do the special exception as a way. But we are now here, and we're not that big. So now it's,
We never planned to be that big.
I understand.
It was not put on.
So, let us get to the bottom of it, and then get you on the right direction as far as what you would have to do to request to have a horse show in that location.
Oh.
Not saying it would
We're not
happen
worried about
here.
that at all.
I get that, but I'm just saying that's,
Just so I understand, there could be something that happens outside of this meeting that says, hey, they're fine, just go ahead and build the
Correct.
building.
And then I will report back
The horse
next-
show is a different issue.
Horse show is a different
But they could
issue.
just start building, they're good, right?
that was the purpose of the rezone, ultimately.
Yep.
Instead of coming for a use variance, they came for a zone change and told us why. That's unique. Normally, we don't get told why, but in this case, we got told why, and now they're back for the same why. Okay?
Are you folks familiar with all of the restrictions on a special exception? Have you been informed about what you need or what you have to do when you have a special exception, because there are some pretty stringent rules for special exceptions if you go over 20 horses, or 20 horses or more, I guess
Correct.
it is.
For instance, the manure management, so many square foot per animal.
That's right.
There's more things to it than just the normal code section.
Manure storage is a huge,
I was told that we would have to come back before the board if
Yes.
we wanted to go over 20 horses,
Okay.
which is why we stayed
and according to
low.
the friends I have that have stables, 2 of them that have riding stables, the manure problem is going to be your biggest problem.
We are not new to horses. This is just gonna be our first stables we've owned for
Under a
public
special
use.
exception, you have to have it in a storage bin covered. You can't put it on concrete slabs
Or an approved manure management program.
Yes.
Which I'm unfamiliar enough to know whether or not that would be okay on that slab or not, or what that would include. But that would be, if we're at that level, you're gonna have to meet those requirements. If we're not, then you won't.
They're not.
Correct.
So who's make the motion to continue?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Brian?
for 1 month.
Yeah, 1 month is fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion approved.
So where do we go from here?
We'll contact you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, we were in the site plan on June 2nd, and still haven't.
Still got a process.
I did the site.
We'll still look. We still get
I don't know.